Hi, I'm Nirmal Kumawat from Adobe. I have been working on Adobe's font engine, CoolType, and have worked on new font technologies such as UpOnType font variation and SVG color fonts. I'll be talking about interactive coloring in typography. Before jumping onto our proposal, let's first discuss about the importance of font color. Font color is sometimes used to convey more meaning beyond the basic text. For example, one can use font color to emphasize an important statement, using headings, titles, etc. In this example, you can see that the text has been colored with different colors like black, red, green, blue, and yellow. A monochrome vector font has just outline information in its font file. There is no color specified within a font itself. Hence, a non-color text can be filled with multiple different colors, gradients, patterns, or textures. Now, let's talk about color fonts. What are color fonts? Color fonts represent a key revolution in typography, introducing rich graphic features into font files. They are next big thing in graphic design. Each glyph of a color font can have multiple colors, shades, textures, and transparency. They can have vector as well as color bitmaps, bitmap color glyphs, and can include any type of text, including characters, emojis, and icons. Here you can see that there are 5 different color fonts like Trajan color, Antipixa color, Criolani or regular, Emoji 1 color, and Apple's color emoji font. So what are the types of color fonts that exist in OpenType specification? As mentioned, color fonts can have both vector as well as bitmap color glyphs. Hence, OpenType specification has different type of tables which provide color glyphs information. The SVG table, which is known as Scalable Vector Graphics table, has been recently added in OpenType specification, which, as per name say, contains glyph information in the format of SVG. In contrast, bitmap color fonts can have either of SBIX table, which is known as Standard Bitmap Graphics table, or CBDT table, which is known as Color Bitmap Data table. The example here shows two different color fonts with only emojis, where one is SVG based color font and the second one is SBIX based Apple's color emoji font. The SVG based color glyphs are highly scalable, formed with multiple different subpaths, and each path can have different color, gradient, or texture. The SBIX based color glyphs are non-scalable as they are formed with non-scalable color bitmaps. Moving on, what are the differences between monochrome and color fonts? One of the major differences between monochrome and color font is that each glyph of a color font can have multiple colors within a font file itself. But monochrome fonts just contain outline information or for each glyph. In the given example, a monochrome glyph L is constructed using single path which can be filled up with different color, gradient, or texture by an end user. In contrast, color glyph L has 4 different subpaths where each subpath has been pre-assigned with a unique color. So what are the current possibilities that we have today for coloring the color fonts? Let me tell you, there is no direct mechanism to change the color of color font as same as monochrome fonts. For vector-based SVG color fonts, OpenType specification provides a table CPAL, which is known as color palette table, which has color palette entries designed by a font designer. An end user cannot change the color of a color font without having CPAL table. Most of the color fonts do not yet have CPAL table, hence there is very limited possibility that an end user can change the color of color fonts as per his or her desire. Also, sepal table can only have limited set of entries of color palettes, which also limits the productivity of an end user. In a nutshell, one cannot change the color of color fonts just like one can change color of monochrome fonts. The example shows that selecting a color text and applying green color from color swatches doesn't have any impact on the font color. So let's come to a proposal, interactive coloring. We propose powerful method of interactive coloring in typography where one can selectively and interactively apply the color on a part of a glyph. One can apply new and rich color theme over to the existing color theme of a color font. Also, a designer can choose and interactively apply gradients, patterns to a part of a glyph while the text is still live. In the example, you can see that one of the subpath of the emoji glyph has been replaced with different green color, but other subpaths are still intact with the old colors. So the first point that we discuss here is selectively partial coloring of a glyph. As a designer, I want to adjust the color of only either eyes or lips of the emoji glyph. Well, yes, I can do with interactive coloring. So where I just need to use the eyedropper tool, select a color and then apply to the lips or eyes of the emoji. Similarly, I can selectively color the partial part of glyph L but not the whole glyph. So it's that easy. So let's see how does interactive coloring works. So we retrieve all the subpaths of a glyph and assign unique ID to each of the subpath. Each unique subpath will have its corresponding color, and with the hit detection technique, we identify the hit subpath and replace its old color with the new color, which is green in the SVG DOM tree. The color value of other subpaths will not be changed. Hence, we will be able to render a glyph on a device screen with new color to its one of the subpath. So, interactive coloring is not just applicable on color fonts, but it's also applicable on non-color fonts. In the example, glyph L has two different subpaths, and I can color each path individually as per my desire. And a set of new glyphs can be redesigned based on my colors. Note that the text is still live, which means once a glyph is designed with certain interactive colors, I can reuse it and retype it for my design. Here, the glyph L has been designed with certain two colors, but whenever I retype it in the text run, I get the same appearance of glyph L. I can recolor the complete color text using the recolor artwork. The system identifies the colors present in the text, and I can interactively select any color for each color identified as per my choice, and I can select a completely new theme, which is gray in the example, and can be applied to the text. And yes, a brand new color theme can be applied to the complete text. Moving forward, with the interactive coloring mechanism, instead of just applying the color, I can apply gradients, textures, or patterns to partial part of a glyph. So here in this example, I can just simply replace the color of the emoji to one of its subpath to the gradient. Similarly, I can apply the pattern to one of the subpath of the glyph L. Also, one of the major challenge that we have with the color fonts is that one cannot pick a color from the color glyph. Well, yes, with the interactive coloring approach, I can simply pick color from the partial part of a glyph. So in the example, you can see that with the eyedropper tool, I can simply pick the colors from the subpath of a glyph and can be transferred to the other graphic object, which in this example, a rectangle, which is filled with the colors picked up by the eyedropper tool. So, what are the real world use cases of the color fonts? Why do we need interactive coloring and real world use cases? So let's talk about the real world use case. Decorative or color fonts are widely used in designing greeting cards, magazine covers, marriage invitations, etc. The predefined colors provided in a font file may not be sufficient for all kinds of graphic designs or backgrounds. Hence, there is a need to either adjust the background or adjust the color of color fonts. The text written over this dark background is hardly visible. This is because of most of the color fonts are designed by keeping white background in the context. You can see that the text seasons, which is not completely visible over this dark background, but is visible on white background. But with interactive coloring mechanism, I can redesign and recolor the colors of text to go well along with the background. Moving on, the text written over here is Goa, which represents a city in India, and each part of color text Goa can be easily replaced with beautiful images representing the city. Similarly, I can redesign certain set of glyphs by using different images, and emojis can be redesigned by using different patterns or gradients. So the interactive coloring is one of the powerful technique for modern coloring in typography, which helps in partial coloring of a glyph. It works on both color and non-color fonts while keeping the text live, which means you don't need to convert the text to a graphic object. The interactive coloring technique helps you in applying a completely new color theme to the whole color font and helps in applying gradients, textures to the partial part of a glyph. So thanks to my these amazing co-contributors. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks all for joining this session. Like, we will be happy to take the questions now.
Yeah. So also we can animate these color fonts as well. So I just want to highlight that part. Like we can change the colors, so there's one very good example. Like we can animate these very beautiful colors and color themes by using the color fonts. Whether the font has the options of animating it or not, but our methods will help you to animate these fonts as well.
Yeah, and this is also like, as we have showcased in the presentation also, this is not only limited to the color fonts. We are expanding this technology for even a normal font as well. So now
Yeah,
you can
monochrome
actually,
fonts.
so like in a sense, you can actually convert any font into a color font. So animate, yeah. Can you explain what do you mean by animate?
Yeah, animating means like because as we are talking about color fonts, the color fonts may have certain set of colors, but animating means you want to create a greeting cards or a GIF by using the color fonts. So where you just need to specify the certain colors for each subpath, and then it will be the colors will be animated. So you can create these greetings. Oh, My video stopped in between my answer. Sorry for that. So I'm trying to say is animation like we use GIFs, GIF files to send some like greetings, something like happy birthday or thank you, happy Halloween. So now with the use of color fonts, you can create a GIFs or maybe the animations while when you're trying to design a movie, so titles or something. So where you want to animate the text. So currently, like monochrome fonts, we have been animating the text, but because the color fonts have different colors, so how do we animate that? So our tech help you in animating these fonts. The first question is the color settings are saved in each file and text thread and reset in a new text thread. Yes. So there are two options. If you know about the different stylistics glyphs for each glyph defined in the font file. Okay, so what we are trying to do is there are two mechanisms in a one text thread. When the color is changed to certain glyphs, then it will be remain for that current text thread. But when you retype or maybe you select a new thread, then the original glyphs will be displayed. And the second approach is once you design a glyph with a set of like different gradients or maybe different colors, then we will give you an option. You can add this glyph as an alternate glyph or the original glyph, so that you can, whenever on a new thread text to run, you can use that alternate glyph. Yeah, animation is a separate part. So where you like for each subpath, you can specify the start color and the end color in the After Effects, and then the After Effects will automatically compute the different on the frequency and the time differences, and it will automatically animate the colors between two endpoints within the subpaths mentioned of a glyph. So the shape will remain same, but only the colors will be animated. You're welcome. So yeah, like we can change the interactively, we can change the color glyphs. We can interactively change the whole color theme of the font, and then we can add the colors, newly designed color glyphs as the stylistic alternate color glyphs. And yes, we can animate the color glyphs in the animation applications like After Effects. So these are the four different workflows then we can that we can achieve with the color fonts. So Karima, can we upload any file? I can show you one example of animation.
Like in between, like I just want to throw a question like to all the participants over here. So like the examples, most of the examples that we showcased, like those are the colored fonts, right? But in your daily projects, like when you are designing anything, so like do you ever feel the requirement of coloring a non-color font, like differently, like you have to convert the fonts into the outline and then you have to color those fonts? And it's not only a like if I like I'm not talking about the coloring the whole glyph with a single color, but like you may want to do some partial coloring. Like let's say if you have a queue, you want to color few parts of that queue with one color and the other parts with some other colors. So like do you ever have those requirements in your projects?
Yeah, you see here one example. Thanks. So this is one example, like we can create animations using color fonts, like very beautiful color fonts animations. Yeah, regarding SVG animations, So currently, like animation applications like After Effects, they need to support the animations for these color fonts. So currently, they don't have yet support of the animate parameter in the SVG. So, but yes, I mean, one can specify the animation in the font itself, but yes, that will be limited because it will have the certain set of fixed colors for animation. But what we are trying to do is like we are providing the full flexibility to a user where he can generate his own custom animations.